For as I promised, a very special guest later in the afternoon, and this is my very special guest, not the car behind me. This is the lovely and gracious Tish Johnson. She just moved back to Sweden. Now, actually, can you speak a little bit? Come closer. Okay, so you actually do speak Swedish, but you sound like a California girl, don't you?
Exactly.
So you are not from Sweden.
No, well, in my heritage, but I'm a native Californian.
A native Californian, but how long have you been working for Volvo?
Gosh, since 1999.
So let's come on around here. Let's take a look at some of the back here. We've got the CEO Fords here. Hello, Mark. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
You doing good?
I'm doing very well.
Great.
Congratulations. Got some new stuff coming up.
Yep, oh, a lot of stuff.
Very busy.
A lot of stuff.
Okay.
Yep, I love checking out the competition.
Now,
Even though
actually,
I used to run this thing.
You realize you two used to work together. You realize that. Tish Johnson runs interior design for Volvo, and she's been at Volvo since 1999.
Okay, hired. Okay, well I ran PAG from 2005.
Wasn't that when you were out?
Yeah.
But that was after the SHO days.
Oh yeah, that was after California.
That was awesome.
All right, cool. All right, nice to meet you.
I've got a question.
You have a question?
What does Mark think of the S90?
What do you think of the S90, Mark?
Very good car. I like the Continental better, but
I wonder why. I want to point something out for the audience, kind of behind the scenes at auto shows. You see these guys here, like he's sitting in there and he's taking all those pictures. It's not that he's a car geek and he wants to take pictures for his like wall at home. He's an engineer from another car manufacturer, and they measure all the competitor cars on these media days and professional days, and they go home and they like slice and dice.
They're trying to figure out how to do it right.
Exactly. Okay, why don't we get in the car and we go through the inside?
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to close the door as
Yeah,
well.
excuse me. Sorry, thank you.
Okay. So the window does not go. Oh, the window does go up.
Of course, of course.
Can I just say, this is actually different. This is my first time sitting in the car, actually. This is different than the XC90, but I can still see the theme.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be different, right? It's not the same type of car. It's not the same car.
I would argue this is cooler. Is my imagination, or am I sitting lower in this car? Not that it's just an SUV, but I feel like this is higher.
Yeah.
So you changed the proportion.
We definitely did. I wouldn't be able to tell you where, because I wasn't working on that, so I don't know basically exactly where your hip point was.
Yeah.
SRP, but we definitely, obviously, we're in a sedan, and you should be able to feel that you're in a lower, like seat height, not just the car height, by how your legs are.
This is incredibly fancy. I mean, I don't know if we've discussed this, but half my growing up years was in Volvos.
Okay.
Like an 84 turbo diesel 760 and an 88 760 gasoline V6.
No, that's great.
And it's not nearly as fancy as this.
Well, you know, that was really what we were talking about first, and you and I have talked about it a lot with the XC90. We said, okay, we're going to bring this up to, you know, a real, that new level for Volvo in the luxury segment, and then we said, okay, and now we're gonna, you know.
So what are some things you made different here from the XC90 to this? Because people who've been watching this have obviously seen our hours of programming that you and I put together on the XC90.
Yeah. Okay. Directly, what is different? These air vents are quite different.
Yeah.
You know, normally you'd see something. If you look back here, something like this. This is what you see.
We've got a comment here.
Yes, sir.
A compliment for not putting an iPad on the dash.
Well, thank you.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, so we can talk about this whole thing. So, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. So to answer your question, these are very different. We call them blades rather than these little paddles that you normally have.
They actually do like airplane blades of a propeller.
Yeah, and they should remind you of our concept car. Because that was the inspiration for this. And we had an opportunity to pause as we showed that.
You have been doing this for a couple of years, haven't you?
A little bit. But what's really nice is we said, gosh, that's, you know, we loved it. And what we heard, you know, back to us was those were really cool elements. So we brought them in, and it's all about just the look, of course, but the touch. You know, and really that kind of
why don't you punch in on that, Russell? That's pretty
innovative.
awesome.
And you can see there's these nice diamond cut.
Yeah.
And a very nice
I love
to
this. We talked about that in the episode for the XC90. I love the detail, the knurling you put on this thing.
Yeah.
This is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And now, if you look at this, Russell, why don't you punch in on this? This switch and this drive mode switch, this is obviously straight from the XC90, is that correct?
Oh yeah, this is.
So this piece here, look at the knurling. So we've already seen that in the XC90, and it's now repeated in the vent here. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So then this area, this technology is, of course, the jewel, which we did bring from XC90, but now we had an opportunity to highlight it in a very special way. You'll notice right away when you, looking forward to you driving this car at some point.
You and me both.
But yeah, you're going to have a good time with it. So
in Sweden.
In Sweden.
Yes.
Okay. So the touch screen, we tilted it rearward and brought it a little bit closer to you. So if you go out there to touch this, go ahead and put your hand up there.
Okay.
It's a nice, easy distance.
Oh, I see.
that?
So the angle is different.
That's right.
I see. It is a little bit different from the XC90.
So then that actually can set up what the question you were asking about, what is different. So this
I'm
angle is
gathering this
different.
is a European market car from what I'm looking at here.
Well, yes, it is. And we somewhere in here we could probably change that. But
have you ever been to Prague?
actually, no, I have not.
It's a nice little town to visit on the weekend. Yes. Anyway, go on.
Okay.
Is that in Brooklyn?
There
I
are
love
parts
the
of that
comic
place.
relief back there. That's great.
He's from New York, my cameraman. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Russell actually has been on a Volvo episode before. He's the man I served corned beef, right? It was a corned beef pastrami on rye
Are you going to do that for me?
That's
That's
I
the
will.
question.
I will be glad to do that for you.
Okay.
You got a nice compliment on the wood trim, Tish.
That's
Okay.
true.
So that was actually going to be the next thing that I was talking about, because of course you're saying what's different. Well, we have this kind of more upright position of these surfaces.
Yeah.
And this something we really wanted to do in a different way was to, yes, like the XC90, there's a lot of like three-dimensional form here, but here we said let's really be robust with.
And for the avoidance of doubt, this is real wood.
Yeah, it's real wood, and look at it's
like an open
it's not
pore.
shiny.
I love the satin
and
finish.
that's based on Swedish influence, of course, because when you go into Swedish homes, the furniture is naturally treated, and here we said let's get this nice, this, you can see that curve up here, and then that really is especially nice with this linear walnut, and then this other little feature down here.
Yeah, definitely. And look at it here. We'll punch in on this, Russell, as well. You get it here, and then obviously, what do you call this when you've channeled it or whatever you call that?
It's called a chalice.
Chalice, okay. And then so it reveals the cup holders,
Yes.
and then you could store some stuff here as well.
Yeah.
One detail that I love on the T8s is that Orifice crystal thing.
I do, and I wish we had a chance to get over there because we redesigned this area a little bit in the T8.
Really?
And you'll see some fun stuff. For instance, in the T8, we have a little pocket, and you can put your phone.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
If
we'll
we
have to
a
check
chance,
that
we'll go
out,
look at it. I think you'll find that pretty cool.
Okay. Oh, you want to see it so people can show it to people.
Yeah.
Oh, so is this a CD changer here?
Yeah.
Really? You still have a compact CD changer? That's pretty amazing. Wow, look at that. Pretty fancy.
So.
And then is this what is this? Is this leather up here, or is this?
Yeah. Oh no, this is leather, and you can see the stitch detail because we wanted people to know that this. If we're going to put leather up here, that they know. This
And is it all
crafted.
trim levels that get this leather top dash?
No.
Inscription.
This is an
It's
inscription.
inscription, but I was thinking about in.
There were 3 levels in the XC90s. It's the same 3 levels in this one?
Yeah, it's the same 3 levels.
Yeah.
So in North America, we had inscription. What are the 3 levels in North
Russell, what are the
America?
3 levels?
We have a question actually. Will this be the luxurious car in the Volvo lineup?
Well, the inscription would be.
Yeah.
But
Yes, the
will it be
inscription.
above the XC90?
Will it be? Well,
It's equal to, I think.
I'm sorry. Say it
Equal
again.
to. Inscription is the same
Yeah.
across the board.
It's.
Top level.
I mean, certainly this is our, the estate. It's really, but the XC90 is positioned, high up on the.
Higher than an S90.
No, I mean it's Russ.
I guess a different kind
Well,
of
it's a
thing.
different. It's a different buyer. It's for a different.
Okay.
Yet, so it's.
So I guess we'll have to
it's a
come
thing
back
for us
to you on
do.
that one. Pretty, she's not exactly the one that spends the time working on spreadsheets to give you the pricing and then therefore the grades.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're both, are very high end. position.
General feel of this thing,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you, it's. I mean, in terms of build quality, it's similar to the XC90, but I feel like this is a couple of steps up because of the lower seating position.
Well, again, it's really nice to hear your feedback, but we really liked, as soon as we started putting up what we call the design buck,
Yeah.
where we're going to sit
Oh, yeah.
and evaluate things, we really thought this is a nice seating
Yeah.
position. This is really giving us that luxury feeling.
This is light years away from any 240 Volvo I've ever driven. Do you still have one at home, a 240 Volvo?
Yeah, no, I do not.
No?
I do not.
No.
But there's some fine things about 240, and
But I'd like to point out,
yeah.
even though this is a brand new SC90 and Volvo has changed ownership over the years now twice, and we saw the previous owner, he was just here, it still has this thing up here. Russ, why don't you punch
Yeah.
in on this?
What am I punching in on?
Punching in on this, whatever.
I
What
was
does
looking
this
at the
thing do?
Swedish flag.
Well, it's a ticket holder, and tickets
So
being
like tolls and things like that?
yeah,
Parking
exactly.
tickets, yeah.
That's right, exactly. And the reason why we hang on to that is because, first of all, it was first introduced totally based on customer feedback in
Yeah.
clinics, and we continue to get feedback that says we love it.
To keep it there.
Yeah, so.
My mother's 1984 Volvo 760 turbo diesel. It had a Volkswagen Audi engine in it. Had this. And I was taken by this thing back then. And here I am sitting with you, the designer of the car, pointing out the same thing.
Well, it's just, it's a nice little touch. And that's what we really have throughout the car, these kinds of things where
This
we
is
try
awesome.
to, I'm just
Now
happy to
tell
hear
us
you
the
say
story
that.
about this flag thing.
Yeah,
How did
so
this come
that's the
about?
flag. Okay, so we had, we've thought about this in different ways over the years, but you see, I don't know, can you feel kind of the momentum of the brand? Can you see that we're...
Totally.
And you see that we're feeling
You've won
really,
2 awards in 2 months, effectively. Big awards. Motor Trend, and we won North American Truck
North
of the
American
Year.
Truck of the Year, yeah.
Exactly.
And then just the reality of the situation is I think you sold more cars, too, from what I understand.
Oh, we did sell more cars,
Yeah.
over 500,000.
And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So, be honest with us here. You've been there since 1999, so that you are heavily invested in your career to Volvo.
Yeah.
Now, you were there when your old boss just was there, and then the Chinese take over. Were you nervous that they'd come in and they'd try to change it, or did they come in and they say, "Look, you obviously know how to build cars. Why don't you just keep doing what you're doing? Here's a check. We'll give you this much to see if you can take it off. Let the company take off, and if not, we'll come in after this time." How did they? Which way did they go?
Yeah, well, I mean, we feel more Swedish than we ever have.
Yeah.
And that's why you're seeing, that's what you're seeing. And when, of course, anytime there's that moment of change, there's always a concern about the brand, the culture of the brand, and, that question mark time period. But right away, we could see that the promise was real, and that we are able to do things that we hadn't been able to before. So we're enabled as a Swedish brand to be
So
that.
there's more autonomy, is what you're saying, under Geely than Ford. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You should have told Mark that when he was
Well,
back there.
but it has to do with Geely is a holding company. They have several brands, and we're not beholden to a car company. So that's the difference. So that we're then able to operate based on our business plan and our needs as an operation.
It is obvious in the product. There is no doubt about that.
So good to hear
Clearly
that.
obvious in the product. This. I feel kind of invested in Volvos because half my growing up years, as I said, was in Volvos.
Yeah.
The other car that you like at the show is the other half of my years. I grew up on Buicks as well.
Yeah.
So that Avista concept is, wow, that thing is stunning. Which brings up a question: of all the cars at the show, that is not a Volvo, what do you like the best?
Yeah, it was the Buick.
Definitely Buick.
Yeah. And I have to be, honest. I've spent most of my time in the show here with the car, but I had the chance to run out, a few places, and that one has really caught my eye. It's beautiful proportions. It's really lovely execution.
It's amazing what they did
So it's been really nice to look at.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to show us on the inside of the car?
Yeah, sure. Do you have a second?
Well, if they have a second, or we can
okay.
definitely do it, sure.
So there's just one other thing that I think is really nice, is that this technology allowed us to get rid of, just sit back and look at how you don't see a bunch of buttons here.
Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and that's
See.
23. So 20.
Those don't count.
Those don't count.
Okay,
because
so-
you're counting each one of those.
Okay, well, I'm doing
Yeah.
5 ways. So
Yeah.
let's call it 20.
Right. And
I
you can
counted
get-
in another car. I'm not going to tell you what car it was because you're going to go over there and I want
Okay.
people to know.
Okay.
Another car, I counted 68 buttons.
68. Yeah.
So you went from 68
Mm-hmm.
to 20.
You can, I mean, in some cars you can easily get up to 90 buttons. It's really...
Wow.
So we were able to do that, and it's this technology, and then all of that allowed us to focus on interesting things like, you know, this, you know, spline that you see running through here. This
Oh, it goes all the way through.
Yeah, and it was on
Well, is
the
this one piece?
very first sketches. Yeah, and think about that. We didn't chop it up.
That's hard to build.
And you asked earlier about the constant collaboration between design and
Yeah.
engineering. Now, this was something that was in the very first sketches of this car and of this interior. And being able to
Why don't you
hold
punch
on
in
to
on
that,
this, Russ, a little bit here so they can see
just
that.
not engineering said, okay, we like this challenge, and here's what we'll do. Instead of assuming that this is engineering to support our goals, designs,
Yeah.
we'll make this an exposed structure. This is a structural, rigid element that allows us to hang the rest of the design up here for you. And that's innovative thinking.
Did
and that's
engineering
commitment.
actually push up on this? Did they push back on this?
This was a challenging thing that engineering embraced right away for us.
I'm impressed. I'm
Yeah.
very impressed.
It was a really good collaborative effort.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it didn't have its rubbing points
Yeah.
in terms of the process,
Mhm.
but that's what good design is about. It's about making sure that we're balancing and
Yeah.
then getting to the best solution.
So I'm going to ask you, when we actually do the drive of this thing, I want you to come back when we have like real cameras and do this in
Yeah,
detail.
yeah.
I want to do this again with you. And we'll go through
Absolutely.
some of this stuff and really geek out on
Yeah.
it. Okay?
I'd love to.
Thank you so
Love to.
much for this. So
Yeah.
I want to leave you guys with 2 things. If you guys have questions of Tish, hit me up on our social media, MotoManTV, all one word, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And will you answer some questions if I hit you and like?
Absolutely,
Go ahead and
for
I'll go
sure.
back to the guys on social because I'm sure we'll have questions during the YouTube replay
Sure.
of this.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
And number 2, what do you guys think of this? Like, this is the next evolution of Volvo, both interior and exterior design. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, and what you would change. Let me know in the comments below, or via our social media, MotoManTV, all one word, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I will definitely share that with Tish. We'll come back to you. Maybe we'll even do like an Ask MotoMan segment where we do like a live question and answer.
Oh, that'd be
So we'll do that. So I will. For that, I think this is going to be the last Periscope we do from the 2016 North American International Auto Show, and it's great we end it with our friend
Oh.
Tish here.
Thank you.
And again, welcome back to the good old US of A.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
It's great to be here.
So hopefully you get back to California because the snow outside is kind of building up.
But I want to say clearly this was a real team effort.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of talented designers who worked really hard on this, along with engineers. But
Yeah.
it was a great team effort. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Okay, definitely
Yeah.
a team, but I think a good leader also helps. And with that, I'm going to say Bish Beta until we talk next time of the S90.